Hi guys, it's Granny Tana speaking. Welcome to this FS25 tutorial video. In this video I show you how to rent a vehicle or machine. And renting a machine is quite easy, but deciding whether it's the best to rent the machine or rather buy it, or taking a loan to buy it, or rather not having the machine, can be a little bit complex. So I will talk about this last aspect as well. But first I just show you how to rent a vehicle. So we are here at the shop in Riverbend Springs, and I press the R key, and I could also press the P key. That works everywhere, and the R key only works when I'm standing here in front of the dealership. Okay, here we are, and we can rent all vehicles and machines that we can buy. But what we can't rent is something like seats or so, because we use it up. But everything else is possible that we rent it. So let's just take an example. Just something. Yeah, why not here this John Deere tractor? And to buy it would be 45,000 bucks. And when I double click on it, I get all the information. And down here I can go on lease. And the other option would be buy. But we have a look at lease. And there we have 4 different numbers. So first is the base costs. This number, this amount of money you have to pay just for the act of renting it. So every time when you rent a vehicle, it will cost a certain amount of money, and all those prices depend on the price of the vehicle. So for different vehicles, all of those costs are higher or lower. And so not even the base cost is always the same, but it depends on the price of the vehicle. And then you have to pay something per work day, and you always need to pay this for your first day that you use the machine. And if you want to keep it for another day, you have to pay this fee another time. So if you want to have this tractor for 2 days or month, then you need to pay an additional $450 for the second day, and also for the first day. And the same applies to the hour per work hour. And the work hour means that you drive around with this tractor, or if it's a machine, you use this machine. It doesn't count the hours that it's standing around, or if you rent, for example, a sowing machine and you're bringing it to your farm, this time doesn't count. Only the time when it's working on the field. And you have the first hour included in the first price. This is $945 in this case. And when you have driven around longer than 1 hour, even if it's only 1 minute, you have to pay another $945. And yeah, so, and it counts the real time. So if you have helper using it and you play with 5 times speed, then in game it would be 5 hours, because it only takes 1 real-time hour. So you don't need to take care of how fast your game is running, because the real time is counting. And this is logical because if you drive from here to there on the map, this is always real time, no matter how fast your day is running. And if the helper is harvesting on a field, he doesn't harvest faster when you set your time on 5 times or 10 times. And therefore, the real time hour counts. Yeah, so in total, you have to pay $2,295 to lease it, and then you can use it 1 day and 1 hour. And the additional costs, they taken automatically if you use it longer. And do I want to lease this tractor under these conditions? I would say no in most situations. And I wouldn't recommend to rent some machinery that you use frequently, because you use it so often, and for every day and for every working hour you have to pay money. So therefore, if you know you need a tractor and you drive around with this tractor a lot, it adds up so quickly that it could be better to just buy it, or if you don't have the money, even to take a loan and then buy it. That applies for a tractor. I wouldn't recommend to buy a fantastic, super strong, huge tractor if you are struggling with the money. It wouldn't be good to rent it, and it wouldn't be good to buy it, neither. But if you want it, then just cheat some money in and buy it and you're good to go. So this is the freedom of the game, but if you want to play from the start and work your farm up slowly by slowly, then no fancy equipment in the beginning. This is a wonderful tractor. You get it as a starting equipment in Riverbend Springs, for example, and it's really cheap for what it gives you. So, yeah, I don't think renting a tractor that you use every day is a very good idea. But I know people who do this and are very happy with it. So it's not an absolute right or wrong. It's just something I wouldn't recommend, but others think it's a perfect idea. And yeah, therefore, everything in this regards is a little bit, you have to think, maybe calculate, and then decide on your own what is the best decision for you. And the decision that you take today might be different than you take after 1 year in your safe game. So it differs from day to day. It could be a good idea if you urgently need another tractor, that you rent it for 2 days or month, and then when you have enough money, you give the rented tractor back and buy it. That could be a good idea. So, but when would I recommend renting? Here in the beginning are several cases where I would say, better not. Those are the loaders. Usually you use them, if you use them frequently. And so the same applies like with the tractor. And then the trailers. Normal trailers are used rather often. And I would say better buy a smaller trailer than rent a bigger trailer. But there might be exceptions. And here we have the first situation where I would think, yes, renting would be a good idea. In the plows, you only need to plow very seldom. Even if you have plowing activated in your save game, then you only need to plow, for example, after the corn harvest or after root crops like potatoes or sugar beet. And if you love to grow such crops, then you might need a plow, an owned plow for yourself. But if you only want to try it, I want to try to grow potatoes and then think, no, not again so soon, so much work, then it would be a good idea to rent a plow, because you might not need it again in 10 in-game years. And yeah, then you can just decide what you want to take. Maybe this one, it's a small one, it will take a while to use it, but it's rather cheap to rent. So when I double click here and go on lease, you only have to pay $816. So it's below $1,000 and therefore it's affordable. And if you would buy it, you would pay $15,000 more than $15,000 more. And then it would lay around on your farm, taking up space and is annoying. And you have paid too much money, even if it's not so expensive. And there are quite a lot of other cases that are similar. With the sewing machine, for example, I would think about what I really need and what I want to do. And if I have several fields and I love to grow normal crops that I can grow with this sewing machine, then I would definitely go for buying one if I have the money. And the same with, let's say, fertilizer spreaders. You need them frequently. And you could manage with rented fertilizer spreader. Then, for example, you fertilize, then sow, then fertilize again. Then you have it in one day. And if you are lucky and can sow all your fields in one day or month, then you can do all the fertilizing in 1 month. But in my gameplay, I like to have different crops, and then I need it every other day at least. And therefore I buy my fertilizer spreaders. But for you it could be different. Then we have a lot of harvesting stuff. And let's see the combine harvester. When you are a beginner and you play as new farmer, then you will probably own a combine harvester, which is rather okay for the beginning. And I think it's okay for at least 5 in-game years. Only if you grow very fast, then you might need a bigger one, but then you can buy a bigger one. But if you love to play as farm manager and start with no equipment, then it could be a good idea to rent a combine harvester for the first years. So not through the whole time, but when it's harvest time. And then I personally would go for the smallest one, because it can easily happen. Let's see, when you think, oh, renting is easy and cheap, I just rent this wonderful New Holland combine. Yeah, it's no big deal. And then you go on leasing, you have to pay nearly $40,000. And if you are a small farmer, you don't even get $40,000 in the whole year from all your fields. And therefore, it could ruin you just to rent this combine. then I would rather go for that one. And by the way, this is without header. You also need a header. And here you only have to pay 5,000 bucks. And yeah, when you only have one field and it's a small field, this might not be earning you money from the field, even this small combine, because you need a header also. And if you have just a small wheat field, it might happen that you don't reach break even when renting this small combine. So such a thing happened to me in FS19. It's a long time ago, but I had a small field and there was already harvest ready wheat on it. And I thought, okay, I should rent the cheapest combine that is possible. And I did it. And then in the end, I saw how much money I earned from the field, and it was less than I had to pay for the rent for the combine. And it was the smallest and cheapest. And therefore, yeah, let's say more than 1 hectare, and you are rather safe. Less than 1 hectare could be that you earn money or you lose less money when you just demolish this wheat and grow some grass instead and make silage. This is hard. This is very hard. So, and same applies to other harvesters. Here, for example, forage harvesting and the mowers is a different thing because you can buy a mower for 13,500 bucks already and you're good to go. You can mow with them every second day, 4 times a year, and it wouldn't be a good idea to rent this because you can use it so often and it's more or less always worth it to have a small mower. And if you are working with bigger grass fields, you want to have a lot of cows or sheep or making money with silage, then you could go for bigger mowing equipment. But this is a different topic. And then here is a rather good example with the vegetables. The carrots, for example. We have different types of harvesters and the prices differ a lot. So I think renting that one, the big one, would only be worthwhile. Let's see, what is the price? 32,000 bucks. If you really have a big carrot field, you couldn't make a profit with, let's say, depending on whether you play on easy, normal or hard, with 1 or 2 hectare, you could maybe pay for this, but then you don't make any profit. You want to make a profit. And therefore you would need maybe a 4 hectare field. And this machine is terrible. It's rather big, the biggest of them all. It harvests 4 rows, but it's best used in multiplayer when you have one of the players driving the harvester and the other one is carting. If you want to play with the helper that is sitting in the harvester and you want to do the carting yourself, it's terrible because if you are not completely precise the whole time, the helper thinks, oh, I should stop, it's not working. And then you have to set up the helper again and again and again. And yeah, but that's a different topic. It has nothing to do with leasing. This happens also when you buy it. But about leasing, when you just want to try the carrots, and I would say, yeah, try it before you grow more than half a hectare. Then this is a very nice harvester. It's a lot of work. All the carrot harvesting is a lot of work. But this is cheap. A small machine. And here we can see the price. It's only $2,000 in some. And yeah, it's you make a profit even if you only have half a hectare of carrots. And that makes this machine really good, I would think. And if you have more, at least 1 hectare or better 2, you could go and rent that machine. This has a bunker, the other one not. And the big one has no bunker, that's the problem. But this here has a bunker. And then you can rent it for $5,000 and you would make a profit with your 1 or 2 hectare sized carrot field. But I should still warn you, it will take hours and hours. But I think this vegetable harvesters, they are a very good example in showing when it is worth to rent a machine, or maybe you shouldn't grow it at all. And that could apply to the spinach, green bean and pea harvesters. I tried it with the pea harvester once. And here when you lease it, it costs nearly $30,000. And pea harvest is paid good, so this isn't the problem. The problem is that this costs so much money. And when you see the working hour is $12,000. So if you only have 1 hectare, you earn less money than you have to pay for this. And yeah, when you have all the yield bonus and play in easy mode and so, you might earn a little bit of money with this when you rented that. But yeah, the question is it worth it to buy the field, sow the peas, rent the machine, and then only make a little bit of money? Maybe it might not be worth it. You want to make big money when you invest so much. And so it's better to have, let's say, better 3 hectare. It took me 0.7 hours for 1 hectare. So when I want to use up the full hour, it should be something like 1.4, 1.3 hectares. And yeah, but then you would still don't make much money. If you go over the hour and say, okay, then I go for 2 hours, then you need a 3 hectare field. And then you have to pay this additional $12,000, but then you have 3 times the yield, and then suddenly you make some decent money. But it's difficult with those expensive machines. You really have to go and calculate, will I make a profit when I rent this on the field that I want to use? And in a lot of cases, the answer is no. You won't make a profit. Only if you know exactly what you're doing. But with these machines, I like it a lot to use them in contracts. So I do a pea harvesting contract or a green bean contract, because then I can rent the machinery very easy and cheap, much cheaper. And yeah, and then you can experience those machines, because it's 2 things with all those machines. One is you want to make a profit on your field, and the other one is you want to experience to sit in such a machine and play with it, and that can be done by contracts. And I can show you. I don't know whether we have a P contract, but yeah, I guess you have an idea now about the prices of the renting. And here we have a harvesting contract, and this would be owed, and you would get all this machinery. So it should go back. No, where is it gone? No, it's here still. So you would get a decent combine. It's gone again, but it will come back with a header trailer, and a nice John Deere tractor and a decent trailer, all together for $1,000. And you may only use it for this contract and for other contracts. So if you take up to 3 contracts that all need this combination of machinery, so a normal combine with a normal header, then you could borrow those items once and use it for all the 3 contracts. But the contract where you borrowed it should stay open in the time that you fulfill the other ones. So in the beginning, I would say better don't make those tricks. They are very interesting, but you need some experience to figure out when you can use the rented machines for several contracts. But here, $1,000 is really, really, really cheap. Let's just take... do I know whether this is a 7/8 or it's a medium-sized John Deere? But just take this John Deere tractor or one in this region and have a look how much we would need to pay for renting it here through the shop. I think it's at least in the medium, this, or rather a bigger one. So I'm not so experienced with John Deere tractors that I always see which number it has. I guess it might be a 7 series. And it doesn't matter so much if I'm wrong here. So let's just have a look at that. If we want to lease it, we have to pay $15,000. And may only use it 1 day and 1 working hour. $15,000. And to rent this plus a trailer plus a wonderful combine would only cost us $1,000 with the contract. Therefore, if you want to experience different machineries, contracts are fantastic. In my opinion, that is the best with contracts, that you can experience machines that you can't afford to buy. In all my safe games, I could never afford to buy such a spinach, green bean, or pea harvester. So when I play, when I make tutorials or such, I just give me the money and then I buy it. But when I play, it is so far from what I can afford. But when I make contracts, I can experience those new crops, and it's fun. And not so much with the pea harvester, but other than that, it's good to be able to experience this. So I hope my thoughts about when is it good to rent and when not might help you. Yeah, and I wish you a lot of fun using all this fantastic equipment. If you want to buy FS25 now, I would be happy if you use my Tana order link for PCs. The link is in the video description below. This allows me to make the videos earlier. Now I wish you a wonderful day, thank you for watching and all the best till next time. Tschüss!